my mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
As harmless as it may seem, many have been led astray by Tom Hanks' fairy tale quote. As far as the earth spans, millions of people still wait in spurious content for the coming of their death. But what occurs afterward, they were still to discover. Many are still to fall. We begin our journey with this. Contrary to popular belief, life is not at all like a box of chocolates. Life, on the other hand, is a song. Since thousands of years ago, people have believed that our passions and emotions came from an object within our bodies. Ancient Greeks believed that there was a flame burning within our torso, burning food, creating warmth, and dictating emotions, and that we breathe in order to cool this flame. The truth is that our feelings and actions are governed by musical instruments, which are embedded in our bodies. Any imperfection in the musicality or harmony of the tones created by these unique instruments creates a faulty human action, which results in sin. In this way, a person who uses his or her gift of music in a malevolent way has committed a sin, and may be subject to eternal damnation. As we commence our journey to the underworld, the shape of the labyrinthine abyss comes into view. The shape is that of an F-hole, a breed of sound hole associated with string instruments with wooden soundboards. In the violin, mandolin, and viol families of musical instruments, the F-hole is a zone of zero vibration, and although it enhances the sound, it is actually the only part of the instrument that does not vibrate. Coincidentally, the Inferno within this F-hole is the only place deprived of the beauty and joy of music. Stepping down into the vast terrain, the underworld takes the shape of a valley of incredible dimensions, 20 miles wide and 150 miles across. Hell has 5 cities, each city representing a note of mathematically harmonious perfect fifth. In classical Western music, the perfect fifth is an interval of 5 staff positions encompassing 7 sonatas, 4 diatonic and 3 chromatic. Similarly, there are 7 total contrapassos in the combined cities of Hell. Entering down Hell's first quarter, in the first city, the shrilling screeches of century-old Scottish bagpipes, instruments known for their charms and clever deception, can be heard. It is possible to hear soft wailing. This is the house of the tricksters. The tricksters compose controversial pieces and release them to the public, enraging them, endangering them, and sending them a message. Music is sometimes better left misunderstood. The people in the first region are Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, who composed Stairway to Heaven for the band Led Zeppelin, vocalist Rob Capestany for the band Death Angel. Many of the songs contain hidden references to the Nazi physician Joseph Mengele, who worked in Auschwitz. These messages talk about surgeries performed without anesthesia, transfusion of blood between twins, isolation of endurance, gassing, injections with lethal germs, sex change operations, and the removal of organs and limbs. Andrew Purge, from the band XTC, who wrote several controversial songs about the Christian religion. Jake Ellie is a frontman of the band The Kingsmen. In his song Louie Louie, he was accused of inserting hidden obscenity in the lyrics. The FBI launched a 31-month investigation, but came up with nothing. Jake Ellie had developed slurred delivery system, making the lyrics virtually undecipherable, while providing the audience with graphic images of sexual assaults. Because the Tricksters' music had double meaning, they too must have 2 faces to show their audience. Thus, their contrapasso in Hell is having a white-hot iron mask, their second face, attached to the back of their heads. For the rest of eternity, their mask will be ripped off their heads and reattached, over and over again. In the second city of Hell live the timid. Most of the souls in the second city are musical virtuosos who were too afraid to share their talent with others. They were introverts, and their inner instruments played in the loneliness of their desolate chambers. These people were Bob Dylan, an American musician and songwriter who refuses to play his major hits in concert. When asked once in a 1998 concert to play his super hit, The Times They Are A-Changin', he suddenly backed away from the request. Bob Dylan is famous for refusing to play his more famous songs in front of people. Van Morrison, a mercurial live performer and singer. This man is incredibly famous for his bouts of stage fright followed by purely magical and hypnotic performances. David Bowie, the English musician, quite publicly retired a couple dozen hits in 1990, amid media claims that he would never play any of his old songs again. Oscar Peterson, a Canadian former jazz pianist and composer. Peterson dominated the piano by age 9, but after being intimidated by Art Tatum's jazz solo Tiger Rag, he became disillusioned with his own playing and became timid. Sviatoslav Richter, a Soviet virtuoso known for his powerful interpretations and vast repertoire. Although considered one of the greatest pianists of his time in the 20th century, Richter usually refuses to play the piano transcriptions in concert. All of these people, as they were never willing to share their musicality with others who were less talented than they, will be cut open once a week, their bodies filled with sawdust and sewn back together. The sawdust will be made from the wood of pianos, reminding the timid of their emotions that they were never able to express. The timid, however, aren't restricted to one contrapasso. Because the timid prefer to play the music at night, when no one can hear them, it is forever dark in their city of hell. Inspired by the night, they forever compose nocturnes in their minds, which they will never be able to play because they fear the judgment of other virtuosos. Essentially, their second contrapasso is knowing that their creations, although beautiful and profound in meaning, will be forgotten. The second city of hell is truly the saddest of them all. Traversing through the midpoint of the F-hole shaped underworld, we come to the residence of the seducers. The seducers steer others for their own pleasure. The city has earned the house of serenades, because this type of music is played to one's lover to convince them that they should be together. A serenade is typically played to a female seductee in her balcony by a man in her front door. The people in the third city of hell are Ludwig van Beethoven. Sometimes being an incredibly influential composer and superb musician simply doesn't cut it. Beethoven was no exception. Bagatelle in A minor, otherwise known as Für Elise, was something more than a confirmation of his love towards Therese Malfatti. It was meant to make her fall helplessly in love with the German composer. The song's elaborate technique and soft, light tone was inspired by pure lust, and if one takes a look past the countless measures of paralyzing melody, one can sense in the rhythm a hint of seduction. Madonna. In her 1991 single, Justify My Love, the American singer and entrepreneur moves rapidly through a series of sexual identities, hypnotizing young men in the way. She manipulates these mostly young males not only to buy her records, but also to catapult her to eternal fame through their lust. Bob Marley. In his 1973 song, Stir It Up, Marley combined several aspects of music sensuality to draw attention and make big money. According to an anonymous source, everything about this song is sexy. If you can't get laid with this, you are beyond help. Roberta Flack. In 1974, this woman released Feel Like Making Love, a song that made her world famous. A quietly smoldering song about the little moments when you get that feeling. You don't know when they're going to strike, but Roberta Flack just knows how powerful they can be, and she lets us feel it. Amy Winehouse. Many believe that Amy crossed a line with her 2007 hit Valerie, and it is not the song itself that caught everyone's attention. When performing this piece, Amy dons revealing clothes and a provocative hairstyle, pretending to be a prostitute. Essentially, she used a combination of her body and her sensual music to sell herself to wealth and fame. Being exactly in the middle of the valley, the third city is the only with access to the center of the earth. The seducers begin their treacherous punishment by standing on a balcony, as their lover once did. Lured by the beautiful sound of a harp duet, they jump off the balcony, only to realize that they now stand in a second balcony. Although injured and in pain, they jump again, and the cycle continues in an elaborate stairway deep into the earth. The significance of the duet is that in life, they could never love just one person. Their lustful nature made them seek more than one intimate relationship. Now, in hell, they cannot express their desire to only one sound. As these sinners reach the final balcony, a journey that takes 2 years, they jump off and join the millions of others in the liquid coal of molten nickel, scented with the piercing smell of burning flesh. As we continue down the valley, the fourth city, the house of the uncensored, comes into view. The single unpaved road connecting all cities turns black and volcanic here. A combined odor of crisp sulfur and stagnant marsh is unnoticed only when the smell of human waste surpasses it at the edges of the many rivers. The uncensored did not bother to use appropriate language in the music. The people in the fourth city are Zach de la Roca, who is a vocalist for the band Killing in the Name, In one of his songs, Rage Against the Machine, he snarls the F word a total of 17 times in the 5 minutes of runtime. Andy Samberg, the cast member of Saturday Night Live, purchased his ticket to the Ford City when he decided to produce the music video, I'm on a Boat, I Want a Boat, which is peppered with strong profanity throughout. Eminem. This rapper is famous for his use of explicit words and topics in his song. Tom DeLonge. Tom is a vocalist for the band Blink-182, which attained national recognition for its obscenity and prolific cursing and slurring. Jacob E. Shaddix. This is the lead singer for the band Papa Roach, a garage band founded in 1993. His violent and alcoholic past is reflected in his music, which is quite colorful in language. What awaits these citizens is out of this world. Their city lies on the brink of an elaborate river delta. Here, the Merda River empties itself, carrying with it human excrements collected from the previous 3 cities of hell. All of their drinking water comes from the Merda, and, although immortal, they are not any less vulnerable to disease. Living in dung is not the only contrapasso the uncensored have to endure. Because these people cared little for the welfare and education of their audiences, the uncensored will be deprived of knowledge, and everything they ever learned in school and life will be stripped from them in a horrific way. Pieces of their brain will be cut up and removed through their noses. Of the edge of the valley, near Mount Trequarti, lies the 4th city. Here live the composers of the unfinished songs. At the upper extremes of the ebb hole, there is a 3/4 circle, and within the mountain ridge that surrounds the circle is the tallest mountain in hell, Mount Trequarti, or the Mountain of 3/4. The composers live in the shadows of Mount Trequarti. The circle and the mountain represent things left unfinished in life. The composers were greatly influenced by music, but they lacked the perseverance to finish a composition that they started, usually finishing only about 75%. The people in this city are Franz Schubert. This Austrian musician was a prolific composer, creating 600 lieder, 9 symphonies, and a few operas in his short lifespan of 32 years. Sadly, however, he did leave one of his pieces unfinished. Schubert's Symphony No. 8 in B minor is commonly referred to as the Unfinished Symphony. Gaetano Donizetti. Donizetti was an 18th century Italian composer. His famous unfinished work was the opera Le Douce de Albe. The opera had been originally commissioned for the Paris Opera in 1839, and Donizetti worked on it throughout most of that year. However, he abandoned the project with only the first 2 acts completed, plus notes for the melodies and bass lines of Acts 3 and 4. The opera remained unfinished at the time of his death in 1848. Giacomo Puccini. This man composed most of the Turandot, an opera in 3 acts that was completed by Franco Alfano in 1926. By March 1924, Puccini had completed the opera up to the final duet, but was unsatisfied with the text of the final act and gradually forgot about the composition. Fromental Halevi. Born in 1799, the French composer abandoned his final opera, Noah, when he became distressed after the Paris Opera postponed its production. The opera, consisting of 4 acts and depicting a biblical study of Noah, was finished by Halevi's son-in-law, but it was unsuccessful at the time. Claude Debussy. The Frenchman's unfinished opera Rodrigue at Chimene, was a 3-act 1878 composition backed by the Paris Opera. After completing most of the opera, Debussy's musical orientation took a radical new direction, and he felt this old opera slowed him down. He abandoned the opera, claiming to have accidentally burned it. The composers of Trequarti have possibly the worst punishment of all. Just as the composers had almost finished their pieces, these sinners were almost worthy of heaven, and as such they lived in the brink of hell. But hell compromised their dignity and denied them punishment. Instead, their contrapasso was entirely self-inflicted. Their punishment was waking up each morning, after crying themselves to sleep, and watching with timid desire the gates of the earth, the doors to a second chance, open to newborns just past the peak of Mount Trequarti.